Goobertown Hobbies. Welcome to Goobertown. Today, I'm going to show you how I store and transport my minis. I'm happy to say it involves magnets. This case contains the closest thing that I have to a complete 40k army. It's a good case, rugged case, good handles, all that. Let's see what's inside. What'll it be? Oh man, those are some 3rd edition Dark Eldar models. And they are very delicate models. They have spiky bits and thin guns, and if you put them in foam, everything breaks off and can't be glued back on right. So, I decided to use magnets to transport them. I said I'm shaking that around. That is the closest thing I have to a complete army, so I'm putting some trust in there. But yeah, we got magnets on the bottom of those bases. The trays are made out of steel, and so everything sticks down nicely. The steel plates are the size of the box, and the handles are measured to also be the size of the box, so everything fits nice and snug, nice and compacted in there, nothing moves around. So there we go. Again, that's the closest thing I have to a full army. Going upside down. And I'm not shaking it too hard. I don't have that much trust in the system, but absolutely this is good enough for sticking in my car and driving to where I need to go. This isn't impact resistant enough for me to trust on a plane, but for my purposes, it's great. I also like storing my minis in cake pans, which are great for infantry-sized models, but for larger things, I need a different solution. I really like these trays that I made because they fit a raider very nicely. You can see that in that box, I get 2 layers of Dark Eldar raiders, and can probably fit 12 raiders in there if I wanted to. Those raiders are one of the most iconic things in the Dark Eldar Codex, so gotta have a way to transport them. Another nice thing about this storage system is that it's really easy to take the models out of the case and put them right onto the battlefield. I am not a tournament player, but I did take this to a tournament once, and yeah, it was easy to walk up to the table with this box, take the trays out, put the units onto the battlefield. And then, when they died, put them right back onto the tray and right back into the box and go to the next table. Here are the prototypes I made for the movement trays. You can see that it's a 1/2 inch of MDF with some tin sheet glued on top, and this absolutely works. The only problem is that the total height of the interior of the box is 9.5 inches, and 2 sheets of 1/2 inch board add 1 inch, so it's just kind of a waste of space. So I decided eventually to go with the structural component and the ferromagnetic component in one and just get a sheet of steel. Like I said, the interior height of that box is 9.5 inches, and there's actually a couple of different ways we can use that space. So here are 2 trays of different sizes, one for short infantry models and one for larger models. So depending on the army I want to cart around, I have choices. I've done the math, and this box would also fit 3 trays of the correct height for infantry models. And so if I find an army that requires that someday, hey, maybe that's an option. I'll talk a little bit about the materials now. The box itself is from Home Depot, sold as a big rugged toolbox. It is definitely rugged enough to hold a whole lot of heavy stuff, and it has handles in several convenient places there. It's sturdy, it's stackable, all the good stuff. On the inside, there are a couple of plastic tabs that I filed down just a little bit to make as much room as possible for those metal trays, but on the whole, I really like this design. The trays themselves are made out of 14 gauge hot rolled steel. They weigh about 4 pounds each, and they have dimensions of 19 by 10.5 inches. So I ordered these from a company called metalsdepot.com, and they do the cutting to size for me. So I didn't have to learn how to cut sheet metal or anything like that. But yeah, they came in the mail the size I wanted, and they were great. I don't know sheet metal gauges very well, so I also ordered a couple of trays in 10 gauge steel, which means it's almost twice the weight. And that is some really serious stuff and really too heavy for what I wanted to do. So the 10 gauge steel comes in at almost 8 pounds per plate, and if you're putting 2 of those in a box, plus models, plus the box itself, that really starts to get inconvenient. So 14 gauge steel I think is a good compromise of thickness where it's nice and sturdy, just a little bit of flex to it, but not too heavy. 16 gauge might also work, but I have not tried it. I mentioned that I use something called hot rolled steel, and the reason that I did that instead of stainless steel is that many types of stainless steel are not ferromagnetic and do not stick to magnets. Obviously, stainless steel would look super cool, but this cheaper stuff sticks to magnets, so that's what I picked. For the handles, I used this stuff called T-slot aluminum made by 8020. This stuff is incredible. It's strong, it's light, it's easy to cut, it doesn't rust, it bolts together easily into all kinds of cool load-bearing shapes, and then when you're done, it's easy to take it apart and do something new with it. I love this stuff, and I use it whenever I get an excuse to. Here's one of the actual handles that I made. Those risers are threaded on each end. On one end, they screw into the steel plate, and on the other end, they connect to the crossbeam of the handle. Here's a quick version of the assembly. I cut the aluminum to the desired lengths. I cut some access holes in the crossbar. I tapped the end of the risers. Then I took the sheet steel out of the mail and I polished it up. Measured where I needed to put some holes in the corners. Put some holes in the corners. And then for some of them, I went ahead and painted them, but not all. And then all that's left to do is to put it all together. Well, there you have it. That's how I transport my Dark Eldar without breaking too many of them. Let me know in the comments below what you use to transport delicate models. You a foam person, a magnet person? Is there a third option out there? Let me know. Alright, that does it for this time. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just kidding. This video's not going to end before I put in a few cat bloopers. This is just going to be a thing now, I think. While we're at it, the total cost of this case was $75 for the 2 trays and the handles and the box. So on the face of it, cheaper than a Magnarack from Battle Foam or a tableware case, but once you include labor, maybe not that different. But this suits my needs very well, and it was fun to make, so there you go. Alright, enjoy the cat. Talk to you next time.